Many players are eagerly awaiting the upcoming release of Dark Souls Remastered so that they may dive into the glorious 60 FPS 6-player action from the comfort of the newer consoles. Whilst the world is never without naysayers, we are very excited and wanted to give everyone a refresher on some mechanics and oddities that are likely now forgotten. Depending on how long it's been since we last played the original, some of these might be a bit of a shock, so brace yourself. Fast travel is limited. Unlike Dark Souls 2 and 3, fast travel in the first game is much more limited and only available to you from what is somewhat late game, once you've obtained the Lordvessel. Not only that, but you'll find that you can only travel to specific bonfires, and not all of them. Because of this feature, many veteran players of the franchise have all but memorized the entire layout of the game to determine optimal shortcuts. However, if you haven't played in a while, it may be a bit fuzzy in your head and you may find yourself re-experiencing the delight of finding the correct route. NG Plus has no new loot. Again, unlike 2 and 3, Dark Souls does not give you new or better loot for playing on NG Plus or above. This is likely to be one of the more disappointing factors to those who have never played it, but have played the other two. Incentives to keep playing the game are always good, and if we had a wish list, it would be up there near the top. On top of that, there is no warning that you're about to end the game and begin a new cycle, so beware. Covenants can be betrayed. Unlike the sequels that allow for hot swapping of allegiances on the fly, in Dark Souls, if you change covenants without leaving your old one first, via Oswald, you will break with the previous covenant, which will result in sin. Additionally, in some cases, you can accidentally break with your covenant if you do something that it wouldn't approve of. Players with sin can be invaded by dark moons and must speak with Oswald to clear it before they can rejoin their previous covenant, and will be penalized in their rank progress. Yes/no questions are important. Piggybacking off the above a bit, paying attention to what is being asked of you is very important in Dark Souls, because if you answer incorrectly, you may cause effects that you cannot reverse. Pay particular attention when speaking with Alvina or Framp. You can fall the wrong way and get stuck in limbo. A progression impediment that has been ironed out of the sequels, the original Souls was unforgiving, and if players went to the wrong place at the wrong time, they could find themselves trapped and keeping Nito company for all eternity. Alright, not really. There are ways out of the catacombs and of Nito's chamber, but we look forward to the multitude of threads from people who forgot to flip a switch and cannot figure out how to go back to the surface, surrounded by skeleton dogs in absolute darkness. There are only 2 ring slots, and you want a fap. I've gotten so accustomed to having 4 rings, it's going to take some readjusting to 2 again. And on top of that, the limitation that the Favor and Protection ring has, it breaks if you remove it, and it's going to be a bumpy ride. And that's before you remember you cannot have 3 weapons equipped in each hand either. You cannot Re-Spec. Dark Souls does not feature any sort of Re-Spec opportunity, so those of you thinking you'll just Re-Spec if you don't get your build quite right will have to think again. So, choose your stats wisely and your weapons accordingly, because unless you want to roll a new character, you'll be using them until the Age of Fire ends. Upgrades are more complex and available for armor. Dark Souls 2 and 3 made upgrades much more approachable compared to the original title, doing away with multicolored Titanite and exchanging complex +5 and +10 breakpoints with linear infusions. Many veterans have forgotten how it feels to hunt for a bunch of embers and have to visit specific blacksmiths locked away in their tombs to do some upgrades over others. Also, if you've been playing Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 a lot, you may have forgotten you can upgrade armor. Covenant animations are one at a time. You can only make an offering of each sunlight metal, for example, individually, and patience is something many players may have forgotten as well. This is probably not a huge deal to most players, it's about the equivalent of not being able to slide down a ladder. Watch out for the crabs and the eggheads. When players die or drop items, without going into all the details, they sometimes spawn crabs, vagrants, and other players' worlds that attack them. Vagrants are a fun idea that was later on discarded by the developers, never to be seen again in further iterations of the franchise. Watch for an upsurge in "what the fuck was that" from the newer players. Also, if your head starts itching, you better start hunting down some egg vermifuge, but we know you won't, and look forward to the chat being flooded with "why is my head an egg?" desperation. Being cursed is the Dark Souls of being cursed. One of my first laugh-out-loud experiences with Dark Souls was when I started reading the reviews and found all the people that could not possibly figure out what had happened that had made their health cut in half upon respawn, and their recounting of the many methods by which they attempted to cure themselves. Beware, returning veteran, not to fall into this category and promptly stock up on the you-know-what items from the you-know-which vendors that you hopefully didn't confuse with an enemy and kill. Indictments are a thing. I'm quite looking forward to seeing my Dark Moon blades come to the punishment of the guilty who have invaded some poor new player and taken their souls. The Dark Souls 2 and 3 versions of the Covenant, Sentinels being its Dark Souls 2 incarnation, has since moved away from punishment in favor of defense, which is fine, but resulted in rather untimely appearances that make it feel way too much like an overworked police force. This is Dark Souls. We don't want justice, we want vengeance. Tranquil Walk of Peace. This made it all the way up to the top 3 because it has to be the most amazing miracle to ever exist, following of course the incredibly overpowered and cheap renditions of Acid Fog and Wrath of God from Demon Souls pre-patch. If you don't particularly enjoy the rollfest backstab metagame, bring this miracle along and cast it at just the right time to watch your opponent become a fish in a barrel. You may want to block incoming messages from strangers later, or you may want to tweet them for all to see what a cheap, casual, skillless noob you are for killing them. NPCs die and you're fucked. Dark Souls 2 gave you Graves, Dark Souls 3 gives you an Immortal Blacksmith, Dark Souls 1, not so much. If you hit it, you kill it is the rule that will likely trigger many more "oh my god, I aggroed Andre with R2 on my controller when I went to the bathroom" threads. I quite look forward to them, but only for those who do not read the warning to never hit an NPC unless you're certain you want to kill them, and to always run to Oswald as soon as possible if it happens. We still don't know what the pendant does. If you've played Dark Souls, then you're probably vaguely familiar with a little item called the pendant. This soul-searching, head-scratching, rage-inducing item has been a major topic of debate in the Souls community for years. Despite Miyazaki stating that he had a little bit of an intention to play a prank, we can't say with 100% certainty that it doesn't do anything. Just 99.9%. Oh, by the way, poise. And that's a short list of things you've probably forgotten about ahead of the Dark Souls Remastered launch. Do you have some of your own to add? Let us know in the comments and share your ideas on things you are looking forward to the most.